A cold silence filled the cavern. Nobody knew what to say. Nobody knew what to think. The glowing eyes Michael had seen were still burned into his memory. They were larger than planets, suspended in a darkness so vast that it seemed endless. Daniel stepped closer. "What did you see?" Michael struggled to explain. "The custodians aren't running from a war." "Then what are they running from?" Michael swallowed. "They don't know." The answer shocked everyone. "They don't know," Emma repeated. Michael nodded. "The custodians aren't running from a civilization. It isn't an empire. It isn't even something they understand." The sphere suddenly flashed. Its blue light flickered for the first time. The custodian turned sharply toward it, almost like it was concerned. Then the voice returned. "Anomaly detected." The chamber trembled. Dust rained from above. Victor looked nervous now. For the first time since arriving, his confidence had completely vanished. "What anomaly?" The sphere responded instantly. "Pursuer approaching." Daniel's face turned white. "No." The portal suddenly darkened. The thousands of custodians visible beyond it stopped moving. Every one of them, at exactly the same moment. Michael felt a strange sensation inside his mind. Fear. Not his own fear. The fear of the custodians. An entire species terrified of something. The realization made his blood run cold. If a civilization advanced enough to travel between galaxies was afraid, how dangerous was the thing they feared? The sphere flickered. Then everyone saw it. Far beyond the ranks of custodians. Far beyond the alien structures. Far beyond the stars. A shadow. Moving. Slowly. Silently. It was so enormous that entire star systems disappeared behind it. Emma stared in disbelief. "That's impossible." Nobody disagreed, because the thing wasn't simply large, it was unimaginably large. The sphere began broadcasting emergency messages. "Evacuation priority alpha. Reality breach risk increasing. Universe 7 entry probability rising." Victor frowned. Universe 7? Michael immediately remembered another fragment of transferred knowledge. His expression darkened. "We're not the first universe." The words echoed through the cavern. Daniel slowly looked at him. "What?" Michael pointed toward the sphere. "The custodians discovered multiple universes millions of years ago." Nobody spoke. "There were others before ours." Emma felt a chill. "What happened to them?" Michael didn't answer immediately, because he already knew, and the truth was horrifying. They disappeared. Silence. Complete silence. The sphere suddenly projected a hologram above itself. Everyone looked up. The hologram showed 7 glowing circles. 6 of them were dark. Only one remained lit. The 7th. Their universe. The sphere's voice echoed through the chamber. "Universe 1 terminated." One dark circle flashed. "Universe 2 terminated." Another. "Universe 3 terminated." "Universe 4 terminated." "Universe 5 terminated." "Universe 6 terminated." The final glowing circle remained. "Current status, Universe 7. Emma felt sick. "You mean all those universes were destroyed?" The sphere answered. "Confirmed." Victor stared at the display. "Destroyed by what?" The chamber became completely silent. Even the sphere seemed to hesitate. Then it finally answered. "Unknown." A shiver ran through everyone. The most advanced civilization in existence didn't know. The custodians didn't know. The sphere didn't know. Nobody knew. Then something happened inside the portal. One of the distant stars vanished. Not exploded, not dimmed. Vanished. As if it had never existed. Then another disappeared. And another. The shadow was getting closer. The custodians began moving again. Not advancing, running. Millions of them. Entire cities were evacuating. Ships filled the sky. Structures were being abandoned. Civilizations were fleeing in panic. Michael watched the chaos unfold. Then he noticed something else, something far worse. The shadow wasn't chasing the custodians anymore. It had stopped. Its attention had shifted toward the portal, toward Earth, toward them. The sphere immediately reacted. Warning, warning, warning. Every light in the cavern turned red. The custodian closest to them finally moved. It turned directly toward Michael. Then it spoke, not through the sphere, not through symbols. For the first time, it used an actual voice, a deep voice that echoed through the cavern, and it spoke only 4 words. It knows you're here. The cave fell completely silent. Every custodian stood motionless, staring toward the tunnel entrance. Michael's heart pounded. His father slowly emerged from the darkness. John Anderson looked normal at first glance. The same face, the same clothes, the same calm expression. But something felt wrong. Very wrong. Daniel noticed it immediately. He took a step backward. No. Emma looked confused. Dad? John smiled. Hello, Emma. His voice sounded familiar, yet somehow different, as though another voice was speaking underneath it. The sphere immediately reacted. Every symbol on its surface turned crimson. Warning, warning, anomaly proximity 0 meters. The message echoed through the cavern. Michael felt ice run through his veins. 0 meters? That means the anomaly wasn't approaching. It was already here, standing among us, standing inside the cave. John looked toward the sphere. Then he laughed softly, a laugh unlike anything Michael had ever heard from him before. You finally figured it out. Daniel looked horrified. What are you? John's smile widened. I've been called many things. The temperature inside the cavern dropped instantly. Frost spread across the rocks. The portal behind the custodians began shaking violently. Thousands of custodians turned toward John at once, not attacking, watching, almost as if they were observing a natural disaster. Emma stepped forward. Dad, what's happening? John's eyes met hers. For a brief moment, genuine sadness appeared on his face. Then it vanished. I'm sorry, Emma. The ground trembled. Cracks spread across the cavern floor. Victor Hayes slowly backed away. For once, he looked completely terrified. Michael stared at his father. Memories suddenly clicked together. The strange photographs, the visions, the warnings, the 6 destroyed universes. A terrible realization formed in his mind. You weren't following the custodians. John looked at him. No. Michael's voice trembled. They were running from you. Nobody spoke. The sphere immediately confirmed it. Identification verified. Source of termination events located. The words echoed through the cavern. Emma shook her head. No. She refused to believe it. This isn't Dad. John looked at her sadly. No. The answer was gentle, heartbreaking, and somehow worse than any lie. Your father was a good man. Silence. Michael felt sick. What did you do to him? John looked toward the ceiling, as if remembering something ancient. Nothing. Then where is he? The answer came quietly. He's gone. Emma's eyes filled with tears. No! For the first time, the being wearing John's face looked genuinely regretful. When I found him 20 years ago, he entered the cave alone. Daniel lowered his head. The old hiking trip, the hidden sphere, everything had begun there. John continued. He touched something he shouldn't have. The sphere suddenly flashed. A hologram appeared. It showed the cave 20 years ago, a young John walking toward the black sphere. Then darkness. A tiny fragment of darkness, no larger than a shadow, touching his hand. The vision ended. Michael stared. That was you? John nodded. Only a fragment. The entire cavern shook violently. The being sighed a Laffertini aside. Unfortunately for everyone else, fragments grow. The portal behind the custodians began collapsing. One by one, the gateways shut down. Entire groups of custodians disappeared, retreating, Escaping. The sphere screamed warnings. Reality failure detected. Evacuation impossible. Termination event active. John slowly looked around the cavern. His expression was almost peaceful. Every universe fights. A crack appeared in the air itself beside him. Not in the rock, in reality. Michael could see stars through it, stars that shouldn't exist. Then those stars vanished, erased. John continued speaking. Every civilization believes it can stop the end. Another crack appeared, larger. Darkness leaked from its side. The custodians finally moved. Thousands charged forward simultaneously. The cavern exploded into motion. Blue energy filled the air. Portals opened everywhere. Reality bent and twisted. An entire civilization.
The damaged custodian stood beside the sphere, its blue lights flickering like a dying star. The cavern was collapsing around them. Cracks spread through the walls. Chunks of rock crashed from the ceiling. Reality itself seemed unstable. Yet Michael couldn't look away from the message glowing above the sphere. There is one possibility. John watched silently. He didn't try to stop the sphere. That alone frightened Michael, almost as if John already knew what the sphere was about to reveal. The next message appeared. The anomaly cannot be destroyed. Another line followed. It can only be returned. Daniel frowned. Returned where? The sphere answered immediately. To its point of origin. The cavern shook violently. Emma looked confused. What does that mean? Thousands of symbols raced across the sphere's surface. Then a hologram appeared. A map unlike anything they had ever seen. Not a map of Earth, not a map of a galaxy, a map of reality itself. Countless universes floated within an endless cosmic structure. Most were dark, dead. Only one remained eliminated, their universe. Universe 7. Then Michael noticed something else. Far beyond the universes was another location, a place outside all of them, a void, a region marked by a single symbol. The sphere highlighted it. Origin point. Michael stared. That's where it came from? Confirmed. John finally spoke. His voice remained calm. You've spent 12,000 years searching for the answer. The custodian looked toward him. John smiled slightly. And you still don't understand. The sphere ignored him. A new message appeared. The anomaly entry event occurred before universal formation. Daniel's eyes widened. Before the universe existed? The implication was terrifying. The anomaly was older than stars, older than galaxies, older than time itself. The sphere continued. The anomaly does not belong to creation. Silence filled the cavern. Emma whispered, "Then what is it?" For the first time, the sphere failed to answer, because even it didn't know. The damaged custodian stepped forward. Then it did something unexpected. It knelt before Michael and Emma. Every remaining light on its body began transferring into the sphere. The machine's energy surged. The final protocol was activating. John watched quietly, almost respectfully. The sphere projected another message. Genetic compatibility verified. Transfer authorization, Michael and Emma Anderson. Emma stepped back. Transfer what? The answer appeared. Access to the 7th key. The entire cavern froze. Even John looked surprised. For the first time, his expression changed. The sphere continued. 6 keys were lost with the 6 terminated universes. A glowing symbol appeared above the sphere. Then another, and another. 6 broken symbols, 1 complete symbol, the 7th key. Michael felt another memory awaken inside his mind, a hidden memory buried during the transfer. Suddenly, he understood. Long ago, before the destruction of the first universe, an ancient intelligence had created 7 keys. Not weapons, not machines, safeguards. Each key represented an entire universe. Together, they could open a path beyond reality itself, to the origin point, the place where the anomaly first appeared, the place where it could be returned. The sphere's voice weakened.
Only the final key remains. Emma stared at the glowing symbol. What happens if we use it? The answer appeared immediately. Universe 7 will survive. Everyone felt relief. For exactly 1 second. Then another line appeared. At a cost. Michael already knew what was coming. He could feel it. The sphere confirmed it. The key requires 2 guardians. Emma slowly looked toward her brother. Michael looked back at her. Both of them understood. The key wasn't an object. It was a bond, a connection. The sphere had chosen them because they were descendants of those who first encountered it. The final protocol required both of them. Together. John's smile vanished. For the first time, genuine concern appeared in his eyes. No. Michael noticed immediately. The anomaly wasn't afraid of armies. It wasn't afraid of the custodians. But it was afraid of the 7th key. The realization gave him hope. The sphere projected one final message. A message that would decide the fate of every living thing. Activation window, 30 minutes. After that, the symbols flickered. The damaged custodian collapsed to the ground. Its lights faded. Its final words echoed through the chamber. A real voice, weak, barely audible. Choose wisely. Then it went silent forever. At that exact moment, the largest crack yet split the air behind John. The darkness beyond it expanded across the cavern ceiling. Stars vanished inside it. Reality trembled, and something enormous began forcing its way through from the other side. The crack in reality continued growing. At first, it was only a few feet wide. Then it became dozens, then hundreds. The darkness spreading from it swallowed light itself. Nothing reflected from its surface. Nothing escaped it. The cavern shook so violently that entire sections of the ceiling collapsed. Michael grabbed Emma's hand and pulled her away from the falling debris. Above them, something immense was emerging. Not a creature, not a machine, something far stranger. A shape that constantly changed. One moment it looked like a storm, the next it resembled a living shadow. Then a giant eye, then an endless ocean. It was as though reality itself could not decide what it was seeing. John looked up at it. For the first time, he appeared uneasy. Not afraid, but cautious. The sphere immediately reacted. The 7th key symbol blazed brighter than ever. Primary entity arrival confirmed. Daniel stared at the growing darkness. That thing is the real anomaly? The sphere answered. Negative. Everyone froze. Michael looked up. What? Another message appeared. Anomaly designation applies to entire species. A cold silence spread through the cavern. Species, not individual. That meant there were more, many more. The sphere continued. Primary entity is one of many. Victor Hayes nearly collapsed. You mean there are others like it? The answer came instantly. Trillions. Nobody spoke. Nobody could. The number was too large to comprehend. The darkness above shifted again. Then a voice filled the cavern. Not spoken, not heard, felt. A voice so ancient that every word seemed older than time. Another universe. The voice came from the darkness itself. Every person dropped to one knee. Even Victor, even Daniel. The pressure was unbearable. Only Michael and Emma remained standing. The 7th key symbol around them glowed brighter, protecting them. The voice continued. Another failed attempt. John looked toward the darkness. You came yourself. The entity answered. The key remains. Its attention shifted toward Michael, toward Emma. Michael felt as if an entire galaxy was staring at him. The entity wasn't interested in Earth. It wasn't interested in humanity. It only cared about the seventh key, because it was the last thing capable of stopping it. The sphere projected a final countdown. 22:14, 22:13, 22:12. 22 minutes remained. The final decision was approaching. Suddenly, Michael felt another memory unlock, a hidden memory, the last one. He gasped. Emma immediately noticed. "What is it?" Michael's face turned pale. The sphere lied. The entire cavern went silent. Daniel looked at him. "What do you mean?" Michael stared at the glowing key. "The protocol doesn't just require 2 guardians." A terrible realization spread through him. It requires a sacrifice. Emma's eyes widened. "No!" The memories flooding Michael's mind revealed the truth. Every previous universe attempted the same protocol. Every one. And every activation required the same thing. One guardian would guide the key. The other would become part of it forever. Not death, something worse. Their existence would be fused into the mechanism itself, for eternity. The entity in the darkness seemed pleased. Now they understand. Emma slowly stepped backward. The meaning was obvious. Only one of them could return home. Michael looked at his sister, his little sister, the person he had spent his entire life protecting, and he already knew what he would choose. Emma knew too, because she shook her head immediately. "No! Emma, no!" Tears filled her eyes. "You're not doing that." Michael forced a smile. "If someone has to, no!" Her voice echoed through the collapsing cavern. The countdown continued. 20:01, 20, 19:59. John watched silently. For the first time since revealing his true nature, genuine emotion crossed his face. Sadness, regret, perhaps even guilt. Then something unexpected happened. John stepped forward, toward the seventh key, toward Michael and Emma. The darkness above immediately reacted. The giant entity roared. The entire mountain trembled. Reality fractured around it. The entity's voice thundered through existence. "Stop!" John ignored it. Michael stared. "What are you doing?" John looked at him, and for the first time in 20 years, the voice that answered sounded completely human, like the real John Anderson, like their father. "I made this mistake." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Dad?" The darkness inside John's body flickered violently. The anomaly fought against him, but somehow, after 20 years, a fragment of the real John still remained, and that fragment had finally awakened. John smiled at his children, a sad smile, a father's smile. Then he spoke the words neither of them wanted to hear. "This time, let me fix it." And before anyone could stop him, John reached out and touched the glowing seventh key. The moment John's hand touched the seventh key, the entire cavern exploded with white light. A shockwave ripped through the mountain. The darkness above recoiled violently. For the first time since its arrival, the ancient entity screamed, not in anger, in pain. The sound echoed across dimensions, across realities, across the universe itself. Michael shielded his eyes. Emma fell to her knees. The seventh key rose into the air, spinning faster and faster. Millions of glowing symbols surrounded John. The darkness inside his body began tearing itself apart. John screamed, not because he was being hurt, because something was being ripped out of him.
For 20 years, the anomaly lived inside him. Now the key was pulling it free. The entity above the cavern roared again. He belongs to us. The seventh key answered with a pulse of brilliant white light. The sphere suddenly activated one final time. A message appeared across its surface. Emergency protocol override. New guardian accepted. Daniel stared in disbelief. The key changed its choice. Michael understood why. The key didn't require a specific person. It required someone connected to the anomaly strongly enough to guide it back to its origin. No one was more connected than John. The darkness surrounding him twisted violently. Black tendrils erupted from his body. Reality cracked wherever they touched.